Good morning, children. I hope you all might be fit and fine at your homes. As you can see, the weather is getting warmer and we can feel the unbearable scorching heat of the sun. So, we need in this scorching, in this extreme weather, we just need to take care of ourselves as well as the animals because animals cannot speak and cannot express their desires and feelings like we humans do. So we need to take their extra care, and as the temperature is soaring day by day, we can just feed them. If you have a pet, you really need to take a very good care of your pet. Otherwise, if you see any stray animals, whether it be cow or dog, please, the humble request from you people that at least we can just give them water and we can take care of their shade, isn't it? Yeah. So, kids, have you ever wondered what if animals would talk? Uh, Imagine, what their strange conversations could be. So, just imagine that if a dog had to speak to a cat. So, usually, dog starts barking after seeing a cat, but just imagine that what if a dog had to speak to a cat, and what would be their conversations like about their, whether it could be about their food items, what they eat, their living conditions, their likes, dislikes, isn't it? So and the most important question is that could they become friends with each other? If we talk about two animals, if we talk about the conversation of two animals, okay, so if could they become could the two animals become friends with each other, the dog and the cat? So it's just I'm just asking you to ponder over. So let's see in the poem The Duck and the Kangaroo by Edward Lear, which is there in your Beehive book. So children, let's recite the poem once and find out what is it all about. Said the duck to the kangaroo, "Good gracious, how you hop over the fields and the water too, as if you never would stop. My life is a bore in this nasty pond, and I long to go out in the world beyond. I wish I could hop like you," said the duck to the kangaroo. So this is the first stanza. Second stanza. "Please give me a ride on your back," said the duck to the kangaroo. "I would sit quite still and say nothing but quack the whole of the long day through, and we'd go to the Dee and the Jelly Bow Lee, over the land and over the sea. Please take me a ride, oh do," said the duck to the kangaroo. Said the kangaroo to the duck, "This requires some little reflection. Perhaps on the whole it might bring me luck. And there seems but one objection, which is, if you let me speak so bold, your feet are unpleasantly wet and cold, and would probably give me the rheumatiz," said the kangaroo. Now here, said the duck, "As I sat on the rocks, I have thought over that completely, and I bought 4 pairs of worsted socks, which fit my web feet neatly. And to keep out the cold, I have bought a cloak, and every day a cigar I'll smoke, and to follow my own dear true love of a kangaroo." Said the kangaroo, "I'm ready, all in the moonlight pale, but to balance me well, dear duck, sit steady. and quite at the end of my tail. So away they went with the hop and a bound, and they hopped and they hopped the whole world 3 times round. And who so happy, oh who, as the duck and the kangaroo? Here we are. So you can just see that the duck and the kangaroo is a humorous poem. Humorous means, full of fantasies, isn't it? Full of imaginative thing, entertaining. So it's a humorous poem by Edward Lear, where two friends, the duck and the kangaroo, are about to set on a tour. Tour is, children, tour is a long trip, trip which we go for pleasure, isn't it? Now, the kangaroo, though happy to carry the duck all the way on the tip of the tail, but his greatest objection is that the kangaroo's greatest objection is that he's ready to take the duck on a ride, but still he has objection that as the duck's feet is wet. So after that, when duck comes to know that this was the main objection, it comes with a solution to make kangaroo feel comfortable as they travel over land and sea, isn't it? So this was this is all about this was all about the poem. So let's deal with each stanzas. As you can just see, there are 5 stanzas in the poem: 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So there are total 5 stanzas in the poem. So let's read each stanza one by one and try to see what is the line, try to know the explanations of the lines. Now, said the duck to the kangaroo, "Good gracious, how you hop over the fields and the water too, as if you never would stop. My life is a bore in this nasty pond, and I long to go out in the world beyond. I wish I could hop like you," said the duck to the kangaroo. So children, as you can see that the lines are written in a very simple manner. Okay, so the explanations are also quite easier in comparison to other poems. In this stanza, we see that the duck is praising the kangaroo about the way it hops, isn't it? The duck says that it is graceful. As you can see, he has used this word, good gracious. So the kangaroo says that the duck says that it is graceful to see the kangaroo hop over the fields and water. It seems that the kangaroo would never stop. It never stop at the same time, never stop hopping or never stop traveling from one place to the other. But at the same time, the duck feels sorry for itself, as its own life is full of boredom. You can just see in these lines, my life is a bore in this nasty pond. So why is duck's life full of boredom, children? Because because it has already spent half of its life in the pond. Okay, so therefore the duck expresses its wish to go on a tour and see the world. It also wishes to hop like the kangaroo. Clear? So he can hop like kangaroo and just take a tour of the whole world. So children, what do you think? Will the duck be able to go on a tour? So let's find out in the second stanza of the poem. Please give me a ride on your back, said the duck to the kangaroo. I would sit quite still and say nothing but quack the whole of the long day through. And we would go to the Dee and the Jelly Bowl Lee over the land and over the sea. Please take me or ride or do, said the duck to the kangaroo. So children, in this stanza, the duck, sweetly, in a very sweet manner, it requests the kangaroo to give him a ride on its back, and also promises, as you can see in this line, that I would sit quite still and say nothing but quack. So the duck promises the kangaroo that it will not disturb him, okay, and it would not say anything apart from quack. Quack, we all know the sound made by the ducks, isn't it? So it would only produce this sound, that is quack, for the entire day. And they both would go to the D and the Jelly Boli. So it's not mentioned in the poem. Maybe some kind of place they might be talking about, or the duck might be fascinated of. Okay, so they would go to the D and the Jelly Boli and over the land and sea. Now the duck again, seriously request, as you can see the second last line of the stanza, please take me or ride or do, said the duck to the kangaroo. So in these lines, the duck again seriously requests the kangaroo to take it for a ride. Now let's come to the third stanza. Said the kangaroo to the duck, this requires some little reflection. Perhaps on the whole it might bring me luck. And there seems but one objection, which is, if you let me speak so bold, your feet are unpleasantly wet and cold, and would probably give me the rheumatiz, said the kangaroo. So in this stanza, children, the we can just see that finally there's a reply coming from the kangaroo. In first and second stanza, we just saw that duck. Requesting again and again. Requesting whom? Requesting the kangaroo to take it for a ride. Now in the third stanza, the kangaroo finally, replies to the duck's request, and it says that the kangaroo thinks about the duck's proposal seriously, okay, and it's the kangaroo is ready to take the duck for a tour, but he has got one objection. Okay, he has an objection to the duck's request, and at this objection he says that since the duck resides in the water, so therefore its feet are unpleasantly wet and cold. Clear? So the kangaroo is worried. Worried about what? Worried that if it would carry duck over its back, then that would cause him trouble. So how carrying duck on its back would cause trouble, or would cause a problem, would cause a problem for a kangaroo, as it would give him rheumatiz. So rheumatiz, the actual spelling of rheumatism, you can say rheumatism, rheumatism. Rheumatism is a kind of disease where a person experiences a severe pain in the joints. Okay, yeah, you can say a sort of kind of arthritis. Understood? Now let's move to the fourth stanza of the poem. So children, before we move to the fourth stanza of the poem, I just what do you think? I want you to I would just like to ask a question to you people, that what do you think, that is it possible, or will it be possible for the kangaroo to take duck on its back and go for a ride? Let's see, let's find out. So we have last two stanzas, so let's deal with the fourth stanza of the poem. Said the duck, as I sat on the rocks, I have thought over that completely, and I bought 4 pairs of worsted socks, which fit my webbed feet neatly. And to keep out the cold, I have bought a cloak, and every day a cigar I'll smoke, and to follow my own dear true love of a kangaroo. So you can see in the fourth stanza, the duck has a the duck finally has a solution to the problem about which the kangaroo was talking. The kangaroo was talking about the rheumatism, that if it will carry duck on its back, then the kangaroo will suffer from rheumatism, isn't it? I already told you what is the which kind of disease is rheumatism. Now, so what solution the duck is talking about? He says that he has already thought over this issue while it was sitting sitting on the rocks. So he has bought 4 pairs of socks, worsted socks means you can say socks spun of yarns, जो woolen के socks होते हैं, understood? Worsted socks, woolen socks, which would keep its feet neat and warm. And he also said that it would also carry a cloak so that it can keep out the cold. What is the cloak, children? Cloak is sometimes some woolen kind of garment which is worn around the neck to protect one from severe cold, understood? And then the last third last line, and every day a cigar I'll smoke. So can you see how humorous it is sounding? Can a duck can really smoke a cigar? No. So it's just kind of imaginations, isn't it? Kind of imagination. Now he told that so it will also smoke a cigar every day, and all to follow my own dear true love of a kangaroo. So he just told that he will do everything. Okay, why will he do all these sorts of things? Why, children? Because he will do all these sorts of things just to enjoy the company of his dear friend. And who is his dear friend? Kangaroo. Understood? Now let's move to the last stanza of the poem. So let's see what is this stanza talking about. Said the kangaroo, I am ready, and in the moonlight pale, but to balance me well, dear duck, sit steady, and quite at the end of my tail. So away they went with a hop and a bound, and they hopped the whole world 3 times round. And who so happy, oh who, as the duck and the kangaroo? So in this last stanza, the kangaroo finally agrees to take the duck on a ride. Understood? They begin their journey at night. You see, all in the moonlight pale. Okay, so they begin their journey at night, and the kangaroo asks the duck to be steady. Steady means to sit without moving this side and that, without making any kind of movements. So he just asks the duck to be steady so that he can balance well. He also tells the duck to sit on the end of his tail. So why does he ask so he just asked the duck to sit on the end of his tail, and in this way they began their journey. Where, children? around the world. Okay, they hopped now, and they hopped the world 3 times round. So they hopped around the world thrice, and there they were no one they were no one they were no one so happy as the kangaroo and the duck. They were the most happiest, okay, while doing so, and with such compromise, whatever it is, understood. Both compromised with each other, as the duck had to not make any kind of movements, and it had to sit steady, clear. And on the other hand, the kangaroo compromised with its wet and this wet feet, understood. So this was all about the poem. So what do you understand, children, that so in this poem, in this poem, that is the duck and the kangaroo, we see that the duck wishes to go on a tour with the kangaroo, and as it could not hop like the kangaroo, it wanted to travel on its back. So but the kangaroo had its own doubts. So we all have already read in the poem what were the doubts of the kangaroo. So therefore he put his conditions to the duck, and since the duck was interested in traveling with him, isn't it? So he found solutions to all the problems of the kangaroo, and finally the kangaroo agreed on carrying the duck and going round the world. So you can see that how duck came with all sorts of solutions for all the problems that kangaroo was facing. So children, we came to know through this poem that if you want to achieve something in your life, then you have to adjust and compromise for it. And finally, finding solutions to all your problems is the right way to deal with them, rather than just running from your problems and all the sorts of obstacles in your life. You need to face them bravely and boldly. Okay, so this was all about the poem, the explanation of the poem. I hope I enjoyed the poem very much, and I hope that you people will also enjoy it after the explanation, after when you read the poem again on your own. So let us discuss the poetic devices as usual. So let's talk about the first poetic device, that is inversion. Now children, what is inversion? So inversion is something, when the lines or the order of words is reversed, not written properly, then that is termed as inversion. And why they're not written properly? Because in order to give some kind of effect. So in the very third line you can see, said the duck to the kangaroo. We usually write the duck said to the kangaroo, isn't it? So again, this is an example of inversion. So this is the first poetic device, inversion. Now let's come to the second poetic device, that is hyperbole. Now what is hyperbole, children? Hyperbole is it is a device which shows exaggeration. होता है ना, चीज़ों को कुछ बढ़ा चढ़ा कर बोलना, exaggerate कर बोलना, तो that is exaggeration. Why? To create an effect in the poem. So as you can see in the very first paragraph, as if you never would stop. So can it happen, children, that any animal, either it hops or it runs or it simply walks, will never stop? No, it cannot happen. So again, this is a form of hyperbole. Okay, now let's see in the second paragraph. Over the land and over the sea. So can it happen that the kangaroo will hop over the land and over the sea? No. So this is again these lines are again being exaggerated. Okay, why? To create a, create an effect, or to give an effect of, or you can say we find it so amusing. Therefore the poet has used like this. So this is again an example of hyperbole. Okay, now in the again third stanza, look here. And would probably give me the rheumatiz, said the kangaroo. Can you really, expect that a kangaroo getting rheumatiz? Rheumatiz, I already have described you what is rheumatiz. Rheumatiz is simply, it is a kind of disease in which a person experiences severe pain in the joints. Okay, so okay, do you really feel that the kangaroo will experience rheumatiz? No, I don't feel so. So according to me, this is again a form of hyperbole. Now, look here in the fourth stanza. And I bought 4 pairs of worsted socks which fit my web feet neatly. And to keep out the cold, I have bought a cloak. And every day a cigar I'll smoke. So can you really think of duck, having cigar, or can you really think of duck wearing socks? No, I don't think so. Again, this is also an example of hyperbole. Clear? Now, so, and they hopped the whole world 3 times round. So this is again an example of hyperbole. Okay, so this was the first poetic device. Okay, now let's come to the second poetic device, that is onomatopoeia. So what is onomatopoeia, children? Onomatopoeia is the word, that describes sound made by the animals or made by any object, animals or any other object. For example, the tinkling of the coins, the jingling, tinkling. So these are an example of onomatopoeia. Okay, so in the second stanza we have a word that is quack. Quack. So quack is an example of onomatopoeia. Understood? Now look here. Now let's come to the third poetic device, that is repetition. So as we have already done so many examples of repetition in so many poems. So what is once again I would like to revise with you all. What is repetition, children? Repetition is a simple repeating of a word again and again. So that is repetition. As you can see in the, so just see here, do we find any kind of any example or any word that is being repeated in the poem? I don't find it so. Look here in the second stanza. Over the land and over the sea. So can you see this over word is being repeated twice? So this is an example of repetition. Clear, children? Now let's come to the fifth poetic device, that is alliteration. So we have already done fourth poetic device. We have already done what? We have already done inversion. Then we had already done onomatopoeia, repetition, and now let's discuss alliteration. Now, what is alliteration, children? Alliteration is alliteration is that poetic device which it is a kind of which describes the occurrence of same consonant, letter or sound. Okay, so when the same alphabet is repeated in a particular line, in the same line, or the same consonant, word or sound is repeated in the same line, that is an example of that is termed as alliteration. So let's see in the very first paragraph. Good gracious, how you hop. So can you see in the second line, can you see the consonant G has been repeated? Good gracious. Now coming next, can you see how you hop? H, H. So this is an example of alliteration in the first stanza. So let's move to the second stanza if we have an example of alliteration or not. No, we do not have an example of alliteration. So let's come to the third stanza of the poem. Third stanza of the poem, you can just see this requires some little reflection. Requires reflection. R. So our alphabet, not word, sorry. Our alphabet has been repeated. So again, this is an example of alliteration. Do we find any other example of alliteration, children? Can you find any example of alliteration? Now look here. Come to the next line. Perhaps on the whole it might bring me luck. Might, me, M. So this is again an example of alliteration. So let's move to the fourth stanza of the poem. So do you see any example of alliteration in this stanza? Yes, I can find one example of alliteration in this stanza also. Look here. In this line. And to keep out the cold, I have bought a cloak. Cold, cloak. C. So this is again an example of alliteration. Now children, we also read about anaphora. Now what is anaphora? Anaphora is again another poetic device. What is it, children? When some word, when same word is used at the starting of second or more consecutive lines, when the line start with the same word, okay, then that is an example of anaphora. So just see here. And I bought 4 pairs of worsted socks which fit my web feet neatly. This is the first line. And to keep out the cold, I have bought a cloak. This is again second line. And every day a cigar I'll smoke. So 1, 2 and 3. So this is an example of anaphora. Clear? So this is an example of anaphora. Now, so do we find any example of anaphora in fifth stanza, children? Yeah, it's clearly seen there. Look in this line. And they hopped the whole world 3 times round. And who so happy, oh who, as the duck and the kangaroo. So can you see here this line and this line? So these 2 lines are starting from the same word and. Clear? So this is again an example of anaphora. Clear? Now let's come to the last poetic device in the poem, that is enjambment. Now children, what is enjambment? Let me tell you. Enjambment, it is when the same sentence continues in 2 or more lines. Then that is enjambment. So you can see here, and I bought 4 pairs of worsted socks which fit my web feet neatly. So can you see any full stop, comma? So these 2 lines are the same. They are appearing as 2 separate lines, but they are in the same line. Okay, so this is an example of enjambment. Clear? And do we find any example? So yes, there is one more example of enjambment in the fourth stanza, that is, and to follow my own dear true love of a kangaroo. Okay, so these two lines are appearing, these two lines are written separately, but they appear as one because there is no neither a comma nor a full stop nor any kind of punctuation mark. Clear? Over here. So we'll consider these two lines as one. So this is again an example of enjambment. enjambment. Clear, children? So I hope the poetic devices as well as the explanation of the poem is clear to you. So sorry. So your work is to recite the poem again. Okay, try to analyze the meaning on your own. Clear, children? As the poem is written in a very simple language, and try to answer the questions which will be given to you. Clear? So have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you, children.